of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details. Example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
March 12th. Today is Alfred Hitchcock Day for the director of 50 movies like The Birds, Psycho, and Rear Window. It's Working Mom's Day. So interrupt your Zoom and never get your juice bar.
I'm working.
Happy birthday today, Liza Minnelli, bassist Steve Harris of Iron Maiden, guitarist Graham Coxon of the band Blur, American poet Jack Black was born 100 years ago today.
At the Daily One.
KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640. Bill Handel here. It is a Tuesday morning, Taco Tuesday, March the 12th. And we are looking at some of the stories. Airbnb has announced no more indoor security cameras. If you go to Airbnb to rent out your home or apartment or whatever you've got, can't do it. Resort, Neil rents out his home up in the mountains. And no security cameras at all. Not that he was doing it anyway.
No, we have security cameras. We
Just not
have them on the outside.
Yeah, just not inside. There is a story that's kind of troubling for a whole lot of people, and that's because people are broke. It's so difficult just existing today. More Americans are treating their 401k plans basically like a cash machine, borrowing money, taking out of their 401ks, which is a real problem because when you take money out of your 401k plan, you pay income tax on that money, and there's a 10% penalty. Now, the IRS has loosened that up. If you're taking it out for emergency or medical, including foreclosing, stopping a foreclosure, all of that is allowed without the penalty. But taking that money out, if you don't absolutely have to, makes all the sense in the world. To not be involved in a 401k plan is crazy. And I'll tell you why. Because many companies, and I did this when I had my company, is that up to 3% you match. So let's say you make $60,000 a year, and you can put 3% in it. Not a huge amount of money, but I think that's north of $1,000, whatever it is, if I do the math correctly. They match that. So if you put in even $500 and the company matches that, now you have $1,000. Starting a retirement plan in your 20s, for example, at $1,000 a month and adding to it, you're a millionaire by the time you retire. And the return you have, everybody talks about, 5% return, 8% return, which is terrific. On the money you put away under the 401k plan, it's 100% return on your money. You have doubled your money in terms of the matching dollars. So what's going on? Well, inflation has hit. And people are having a hard time. And the IRS has allowed bigger expansive withdrawals, hardship-related, evictions, medical bills, tuition bills. And last year, 40% of people took money out of their 401k to avoid foreclosure. That's the kind of problems that people have. That's the kind of trouble that people have. And if you look at the stats of people that are using the 401k plan, as this ETF is the way they're describing it, because people have no choice. That you're the last place you put money out. Really.
Don't you have to repay yourself?
You don't have to. You can keep the money, but it makes no sense. You can repay yourself over a course of whatever years. Then the penalty doesn't apply, but it's still income. Gotcha. It's still income. So the trick is if you're going to borrow the money, you repay it according to the retirement plan that you can have over whatever number of years or months and whatever interest you have to pay. This is why people like doing this, because they're paying themselves interest. They're borrowing the money from their own 401k plan. But the problem is it's not growing that money. and you desperately need it. So what are your choices? Do you move because you have to live in a place that's not as good? Do you, the story I just did about older Americans on a budget, do you eat less? And by the way, when inflation hits 10% or 5%, it's not that your cost goes up 5%. You move from meat to chicken. You move, when you're really in trouble, you move from chicken to beans or legumes or whatever form of protein. So unfortunately, you can live and not have inflation really hit you. Gas, you can't do anything about. Utilities, you can't do anything about. Rent, you can't do anything about. Food, well, you can do about gas. You just don't drive or drive as much. And you certainly don't go to restaurants, and you just really clamp down. So here are your choices. And which way do you think I'd go? Keep your retirement fund intact, or feed your kids? Where do you think I'd go? Okay, retirement plan. They can lose some weight anyway. Yeah. The other thing that's so terrific about 401k plans now is many companies do an automatic enrollment where you have to opt out. And that has increased the number of people in the 401k plans just astronomically. Clothes for your kids or retirement?
What do you think? After 50, they allow you to put more money in, an extra, I think, $6,000 or $7,000.
Yeah, there are a bunch of rules, and you're absolutely right. There are a bunch of rules where the government really encourages you to, this is the money that you're going to retire on, because Social Security doesn't cut it. And as a matter of fact, Social Security, from the inception of Social Security, we're talking about the early 30s under FDR in the Great Depression, was meant to supplement your savings. You're not supposed to live on it. And so it's, unfortunately, too many Americans live on their Social Security, and it's very, very tough. All right, coming up, the TikTok wars, former President Trump, Congress, and what's going on. I think TikTok is going to be gone in the United States, or it's no longer going to be a Chinese company, and I'll share that information. And then at 8 o'clock, we've got Tech Tuesday with Rich DeMurgo, so there's plenty to go. Unless you
I don't know.
The Planning Commission has approved a nearly $2 billion expansion project, the Disneyland Forward project, add new attractions, shops, dining, and more within its existing footprint, much of it where the Toy Story parking lot is. The proposal now heads to the Anaheim City Council. A man sleeping under a car has been killed when the owner of the vehicle started a car and ran him over in Northridge. It happened shortly before 4:30 this morning on North Reseda Boulevard. The possibly homeless man became trapped under the Mercedes when police arrived. He died at the scene. The Prime Minister of Haiti has agreed to resign. The capital city of Port-au-Prince has been racked by out-of-control gang violence. Haiti declared a state of emergency last weekend after gangs banded together and attacked government institutions, airports, seaports, and got into the prisons and set thousands of prisoners free. I'll check the 101, the KFI in the sky next.
Now, all this rain has really set up some big problems, big potential issues. From just termites. Termites come out after the rain. That's what they do. And then they start eating your house. And they do it 24/7. And damage starts almost immediately. And sometimes in places you can't even see. So let me suggest a call to the City Coast Termite, a free home business inspection. Certain restrictions apply. Even if you don't think you have termites or don't know, it's well worth that call, because they'll tell you you don't, and if you do, then they go to work. Get rid of the termites in your home or business without tenting. No hospital stays, no double bag, no hotel stays, no double bag eating food, no pet sitting. I've done it. It's horrible. You need home when they treat for termites, and I have been twice. That specific Coast Termite. Mention KFI, 10% off, 2-year guarantee, 800 Pacific, 800 Pacific. Visit PacificCoastTermite.com.
Pacific Coast Termite, kills termites.
The clean, friendly way.
Clouds this morning becoming sunny this afternoon with highs in the 50s to upper 60s. This report Brought to you by personal injury firm Owen Patterson and Owen. We've got a crash in Echo Park on the 101.
You know what? The area is kind of a mess right now. Southbound side of the 101. Right there, Glendale Avenue, we have the right lane taken away. With a crash, now the crash was all off on the right shoulder. We've got some fire equipment there in the right lane. Traffic slow all the way back from Santa Monica Boulevard. So hopefully that'll be out of your way shortly. Looks like the northbound side of the 101. Also, just a parking lot from the East LA interchange on towards the 110 freeway. Speaking of the 110, it's that's a problem. So actually, it's more like the 10 as you head eastbound right there at the 110. Crash there in the left 2 lanes, and traffic really slow all the way back from La Brea on the eastbound side of the 10. Northbound 405 drive from the Hawthorne area, the 105, all the way up to about Venice Boulevard. Will Colesrider, WFI in the sky.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing and the movies.
Everything that we are doing is incredibly data-driven. We are getting signals in every single day about how specific audiences are performing. So although we're marketing at a very broad scale, and that does include specific local markets, that's really the beauty of iHeart's network. You're not serving the same message to a consumer and national necessarily that you may be in New York. You have the ability to be very specific and very personalized. Those are tremendous.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to all, from national to local, every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. Not just a media company, iHeartMedia is your access company. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of 350,000 titles. It's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
The game over here is a mobile message board with very simple rules. You get your cover and take a drive. Take a left, then the next possible road on the right, then the next possible left. Repeat the process until night.
There's a hitchhiker on the road. You pick him up, you take him where he needs to go, but you do not, under any circumstance, do not talk to him. Ever. I ain't asking you to believe me, but I told you. The street, this is the last chance.
As ridiculous as it might sound, I think my friend may have documented her disappearance. If you know anyone involved in this story, any of the locations, anything I can use to get in touch with Alice, please don't hesitate to contact me. Were you in the area on February 7th this year? Did you meet or speak with the killer of Alice Sharman? Has anyone heard of the next Right to Game?
The Left Right Game is a new audio program from Kia.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
All the good stuff. Yeah.
Tips keeps you on top of pop culture. Netflix's Queer Eye has filled out its cast, adding Jeremiah Brent as the show's new design expert. Brent, who co-hosted TLC's Nate Jeremiah by Design with husband Nate Berkus, replaces Bobby Burke, who left the show following its 8th season. Anthony Borowski, Jonathan Van Ness, Tan France, and Caramo Brown are all returning. Production on 9th season episodes featuring Jeremiah Brent is expected to start this spring in Las Vegas, while the first 8 seasons of Queer Eye are streaming on Netflix. All right, and that's what's poppin'. I'm Gantz on iHeartRadio.
If I'm ever going to do a station event, always dress shirt. Well, just because you come to work every day in shorts doesn't mean that I'm dressed up because I have a collared shirt on. Well, Kelly, when's the last time you wore pants to work? For the interview. I hate you.
7 to 10 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
KFI, AM 640, WM with here. It is a Tuesday morning Taco Tuesday, March 12th. Continuing on with our program coming up at 8 o'clock. Excuse me, I'm having my frittata with tapatio sauce, and it's very hot. So I'm sort of frog in my throat thing. Anyway, what was I saying before I so rudely interrupted my
yourself with your breakfast?
Yeah, pretty much. Coming up next segment, it's Rich Morrow with Tech Tuesday. Okay, here we go.
And have you downloaded or have you subscribed to his newsletter yet?
I am not. I will today.
It's excellent.
Great. So you talk about that. It's excuse me. It's at richontech.tv. Okay, now let me talk about what's going on with the TikTok wars. This is interesting stuff. Tomorrow, Congress is going to vote on whether or not to pass a bill that was produced bipartisanly, overwhelming support, both in terms of the House and both sides of the House. Because the Senate, it goes to, I don't really know what's happening in the Senate. But the House overwhelmingly passes this bill, or will tomorrow, to TikTok by the Chinese. It is based in Beijing, saying you either sell TikTok or you're banned. You're not going to have TikTok in the United States. It's that simple. And who was a proponent of that legislation? Big time. It was former President Trump. He also wanted to ban TikTok, except he is turned around on that. He has reversed himself. Why is that? I'll tell you in a minute about that. House Speaker Mike Johnson supports this bill big time, even though Trump is now don't vote in favor. And this is one of those bills where the Republican Party, or most of the Republican Party, is telling him to go pound sand. Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, says TikTok is actively undermining our economy and security. And he said he hasn't talked to the former president about the legislation, but is still planning to bring it up tomorrow and is still going to vote in favor of it. And it's bottom line dangerous to have the Chinese have access to the data that anybody uses TikTok, of course, like any app. The data, the names, the information about the user is instantly out on the internet and can be done.
Okay, how are you, Jay?
That app is owned by the Chinese. All of a sudden, the risk of interfering and going into our private lives.
Yeah, I was up the whole night before with James, so
with that, why
that happened.
President Trump be against the sale of TikTok or demanding that TikTok not be available? Why would he be against that? And change his mind. Well, there is a guy by the name of Jeff Yass.
Yeah, I don't know what that issue was.
Major GOP donor and a major donor to a Trump allied PAC. And he has a multi-billion-dollar stake in TikTok.
Hey, man.
I said to the president, former president, don't vote for this. Push against it. Because I'm going to lose too much.
Hey, man, it happens. I understand.
And there it is. And you know what? The president says. And if you were to take a poll last week about TikTok owned by the Chinese,
right.
How many people would say, yeah, we got to get rid of it? Take a poll this week, we've got to keep it. And the ACLU, by the way, is against it because it's a First Amendment issue. You can't stop people from using it. And there isn't that much of a security risk. And even if there is, you get involved in a violation of the First Amendment, which is completely crazy. It's a national security issue. You can't publish nuclear weapons manufacturing information. Here's a recipe for making a nuclear weapon.
Did you say amoxicillin?
Yes, it's a violation of First Amendment rights, but there's a national security issue. So interesting who's banding against this legislation. According to the ACLU, there's no such thing as national security. You have to have the ability to publish to say whatever you want under First Amendment. Now, probably one of the best
excellent
that the former president has ever seen.
Happy birthday to your brother.
I've ever seen the president. Now, keep in mind, he
absolutely.
Is now against this legislation. He wants to keep TikTok. And the reason is,
okay.
I don't want, this is what he posted, I don't want Facebook, who cheated in the last election, doing better. They are a true enemy of the people. Because Because the bottom line, if TikTok is gone, then you have Facebook, then you have other platforms that are simply going to do better.
I understand.
YouTube
Sorry to
will
hear that,
simply
but
do better, and they'll have
hopefully he has a really good birthday.
Here is the post. Quote, if you get rid of TikTok, Facebook and Zuckerschmuck will double their business.
Oh, that's baller.
I love this. And then he goes, I don't want Facebook who cheated.
That's
Better. They're a true enemy of the people. I've never heard of the president calling Zuckerberg Zuckerschmuck. That's one of the better ones, don't you think? Not bad. You just wait for this election.
That's really nice of you.
Wait for the general election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It's going to be entertaining with a capital E. Matter of fact, 3 E's, starting the word entertainment. All right, coming up Tuesday with Rich.
You two will check back in with us throughout the day, okay?
640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Absolutely. Take care, Jay.
Smart speakers. We're in a couple of smart ears as well.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
A nasty attack. I'm Amy King, live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Robbers have attacked a beauty store manager in Commerce, leaving her in critical condition.
The manager tried blocking the 4 female robbers from leaving the store and was pushed, dragged by her hair, and shoved to the ground. The manager tried getting back up and collapsed. The attack last week was caught on video. The manager's family has set up a GoFundMe page saying the woman suffered 2 heart attacks and needs a heart transplant. 2 people who worked near the store but did not want to be recorded tell me the area has had a recent rise in crime. In fact, one of those guys tells me his business had about $1,000 cash stolen last night. Reporting live in Commerce, Blake Trolley, KFI News.
News brought to you by Sweet James Accident Attorneys. An 18-year-old woman's been arrested in connection with 2 shootings in San Pedro, including a fatal shooting outside a bar. The shootings in January happened 2 weeks apart. Estrella Rojas is facing charges of murder and attempted murder. The California Department of Justice says more than 1,400 guns were confiscated in 2023.
A man in LA County trying to buy bullets was flagged by the state's armed and prohibited persons system. Investigators got a warrant and seized an unregistered assault weapon, 5 rifles, 3 shotguns, and around 3,700 rounds of ammo. Attorney General Rob Bonta says he's like National the APS program is preventing tragedy. The United States has a unique disease of gun violence, unique in the world class. Bonta's office also says 2023 saw the most legally armed Californians ever. Michael Muggs, KFI News.
People who live near the Chiquita Canyon landfill can now apply for relocation services and assistance. The landfill operators set up a website to offer a response to a request from LA County Supervisor Catherine Barker. People have complained for months about the landfill producing toxic chemicals and polluting the air, water, and land of the site and in neighboring communities. The infamous Cecil Hotel in downtown LA is up for sale. At least 16 people have died at the hotel since it opened in 1924. A Netflix documentary from 2021. Senators around a missing woman found dead on a rooftop water tank in 2013, and also talks about the hotel once being home to Night Stalker Richard Ramirez. The hotel is currently being used as an affordable housing complex. The buyer reportedly wouldn't actually acquire the building, but would assume a 99-year ground lease that allows its continued use and development in the city. Huntington Beach says bring it in response to the threat of a lawsuit claiming minority voters are disenfranchised.
In the wrong place with the wrong city.
Huntington Beach Attorney Michael Gates says the city's current Latina mayor was voted in with at-large voting.
We're not divided and we're not carved up and segregated into districts where we don't care about the entire city.
Lawyer Kevin Tankman says pointing to recently elected Latinos means nothing.
Tito Ortiz, Grayson Vandermark, yes, they are Latino, but they have not been the preferred candidates of Latino voters.
He says district voting allows each community to choose a representative who puts their needs first. In Orange County, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
Special Counsel Robert Hur has been answering questions from members of the House Judiciary Committee about President Biden holding on to classified documents after serving as vice president. Hur did receive classified material. Hur also defended his assessment of Biden's mental health.
My assessment report about the relevance of the president's memory was necessary, accurate, and fair. Most importantly, what I wrote is what I believe the evidence shows.
wrote in his report that he didn't recommend charges because Biden would likely present himself to a jury as a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory. Biden and Democrats have criticized Herr's assessment. Republicans say Biden should have been charged with a crime. An electronic filing system that sends returns directly to the IRS is now available for taxpayers in 12 states, including California.
Let nearly 20 million taxpayers. This would allow like a free government version of TurboTax rate and what? White House says it could save the typical taxpayer $160 filing fees.
ABC's Andy Field says the money for the IRS Direct File program comes from the Inflation Reduction Act. The IRS website lists the states eligible for the program, and as we mentioned, California is one of them. Bosley may be part of the reason that 19.5 million people tuned in to watch the Oscars this year. ABC says the Sunday show had the highest ratings in 4 years. Viewership peaked in the final half hour when Gosling got an entire audience on his feet singing and dancing to I'm Just Ken. The last quarter also included Oppenheimer's Best Actor, Best Director, and Best Picture wins. The Academy experimented with the show this year with an earlier start time and 5 former Best Actor winners announcing the Big 4 acting categories. I'll check some problems on the 10 with the KFI in the sky.
Still chewing. It's all about me. I've been doing this for a very long time. Also, it's about the tapatía sauce. All right, I'll put it on you. It's also about the tapatía sauce that I for tons. All right. Let me count. Okay. 3, 2, 1. If you happen to have varicose veins and spider veins, let's say, they're sort of ugly. They may be uncomfortable, they may hurt, but they're ugly. You try remedies like creams and supplements, compression socks, nothing works. Let me suggest calling 1-800-WEST-MED and schedule a free no obligation consultation. What WEST-MED can do, West Medical, is to raise your varicose veins fast with their state-of-the-art varicose vein solutions. This is very high-tech, and it actually return to normal activities almost immediately. And they have helped thousands of patients. They are dedicated, they simply know what they're doing. Treatments are covered by most health insurance plans. Call the folks at West Medical at 1-800-WEST-MED and do a free consultation, or visit westmedical.com. And it's 1-800-WEST-MED, westmedical.com. Okay. How was that?
You did it.
Okay.
Good job.
Excellent.
Back to your spot.
Okay. Tony, it's you.
From KFI, some clouds this morning, mostly sunny by this afternoon, highs in the mid-60s at the beaches, upper 60s for Metro LA and Illinois, upper 60s in the valleys and IE, 50s to low 60s with misty winds in the high desert. Tomorrow morning clouds, afternoon sun warming up into the 60s to low 70s, about the same for Thursday and Friday. That sunny skies on the way right on through the weekend. It's 56 in Anaheim, 54 Redondo Beach, 53 in Pomona, 51 in Rancho Cucamonga. The KFI Market Report brought to you by Revive Real Estate. The Dow is trading up 206 points. The Nasdaq up 186. S&P 500 is up 44.
Revive Real Estate will buy your home, then renovate it, then sell it, and pay you again for the additional profit from the renovation. Go to KFIRevive.com to see if your home qualifies.
That crash in Baldwin Park on the 10.
Freeway to head west on the 10. Do not take the 10. We've got to get out first. Westbound side of the 10, and it's a live crash there on the right shoulder. It's really go all the way back to Grant there to the West Covina area. Before you even get to that, though, a big bend further to the east, right before the 57. It's going to be the westbound side of the train. And on this crash there, 3 vehicles off to the left. Block continues to park all the way back from White County. And then, of course, just outside the Ontario, you've got all that construction. So the band is not so fun right now. And eastbound streets are really affected by this crash as well. Now, if you're trying to go west on 91, it's kind of goes right this way. A lot of rivers and westbound really gets past the 15 over to just before the 241 where we had an early crash. Southbound Echo Park and
expected sold because it crashed right at the 110. Slow out of Crenshaw. Football King out of the sky.
Every March, Jersey Mike's turns money from the subs into charitable donations.
On March 27th, Jersey Mike's annual day of giving, where 100% of sales from every sub are given back to the community.
Peter gave me a paper. My mom.
Look at the day. We've got subs tonight.
Join us Wednesday, March 27th for Jersey Mike's Day of Giving.
Be a step above. Hey, LA Dodgers fans, step up to the plate for the Spectrum Season Ticket Sweepstakes. Visit a participating Spectrum store and enter for a chance to win a grand prize. A pair of Los Angeles Dodgers season tickets. Plus, hundreds of bonus winners can win a smart TV. Puzzle Sweepstakes is March 17th. For more information and official rules, go to Spectrum.com/2024 Sweeps LA. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 18 plus. California odds of winning vary by location. Void where prohibited.
Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, sports, talk, and podcasts. Free, never soon. AM 640. You are listening to The Bill Handle Show.
All right, KFI AM 640. Bill Handle here. It is a Taco Tuesday, March 12th. I love doing this show. I mean, I really enjoy it, but I'll tell you one of the things I hate about the show, legitimately, is it gets in the way of my breakfast. Well, I'm eating my frittatas in the morning, and damn it, I've got to go to a commercial, or I have to start the show, or come back, and it just drives me completely nuts. Just, come on, really?
Sorry?
Yeah, really sorry. Also, I want to tell you about how our show is on demand. You can go to KFIAM640.com, and it's a podcast is what it is. So, for example, doing Tech Tuesday, hang on a second, Rich, I'll introduce you in a minute. If you have missed this segment, if you are not listening, you can pick us up on the podcast, KFIAM640.com. Okay, time for Rich DeMuro. Listen to my manager, not listening here. Rich is at Rich on Tech, Instagram, new website, richontech.tv. Rich, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Bill.
Okay, lots to cover if we can. All right, the headline, automakers are sharing data with insurance companies. So I just bought a new car a few months ago, and I'm re-upping my insurance. It's going to cost me about 40% more, my auto insurance, and I had no idea these two were talking.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize it. But this reminds me of the smart TV. So when you set up your smart TV for the first time, of course, you click through 1,000 screens, you connect to the internet, and next thing you know, your TV is spying on you and sending all the things you watch to a third-party company so that your TV maker can make money off of you. Sounds like that's the same thing that automakers are doing. New York Times had a big article about how GM, Honda, Kia, and Hyundai all connect detailed driving data in their connected vehicles and share it with data brokers. Two of them mentioned Lexus, which I knew they did stuff for like research for news and stuff like that. I didn't realize they were doing auto data. And then the other one is called Verisk, VERISK, like verified risk, I'm guessing. The data includes information about trips, speeding, how you brake, rapid acceleration, and these insurance companies get information when they do search on you, and next thing you know, your rates may go up.
So let's go to that first bit of information you gave us. It never occurred to me before. I knew it, but I didn't think about it. So I set my TV and I go through the apps, like you said, and if I jump off the TV, and data can still look at what I'm doing.
Well, so what they're doing on the TV is they're scanning the screen. No matter what you're watching on any input, they're using what's called ACR, automatic content recognition, to understand what you're tuned into. And then they take that information and they sell it to advertisers Now, this is all done supposedly anonymously, and the data is aggregated. But let's be real here. They know who you are, what you're doing, and they make a lot of money off of it. That's why Walmart is buying Vizio for $2 billion, because they will now be able to match up the ads that Walmart's trying to sell with the people that want to see those ads.
It's not watching you show your neighbor's wife. We have that.
With that said, for instance, the TV I just purchased, I did not realize had a little camera in front of it, and I was very surprised. And there's a little thing where you can turn the camera off or on, or there's a microphone as well. So I would say just understand the different options that are on your TV. There is a microphone, which a lot of other TVs these days have for voice services. If you don't want that, you can disable it in the settings. And you can disable the idea of automatic content recognition in the settings, but really make it so convoluted, it makes it sound like it's going to ruin your TV. It says, we do this to make your viewing experience better. What does that mean? Same thing with car companies. You download apps that score your driving, or they help you drive, they help you unlock your car from a. And next thing you know, you're clicking through a couple menus that say, oh, by the way, we have the way to share this information with third parties.
Can't wait for international encounter with the neighbor and see what he has to say. Will be running without Rich not responding at all.
I'll leave that one alone.
Yes. I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe went a little bit too far, but I thought it was good. Yeah, we're going to come out and it'll be in V Story, and then through your newsletter, the Apple Vision Pro. You were talking about how impressed you were for the first time out. Now you actually have used it at home, and I want to review on that. Matter of fact, we'll start with that when we come back. Let's check in with Kane live in the KFI 24 newsroom.
People who live near the campaign in landfill can apply for relocation services and assistance through a website launch. Operators starting today. Symptoms from landfill have been making people sick for months. Authorities are looking for a 59-year-old woman who was swept away trying to cross the San Gabriel River. She was hiking with friends in the Angeles National Forest in the Laverne area over the weekend when she lost her footing and was carried downstream. Ground, air, and search drones have been looking for her, but so far, no sign of her. Airbnb is banning indoor security cameras from all of its listings. The rental company had previously allowed indoor security cameras to be used in common areas, placed in spaces where you could see them if they were disclosed on the listing page. The company announced yesterday that outdoor security cameras will still be allowed. We'll take a look at the 10 with the KFI in the Sky next.
For the past 10 years, I have owned and recommended you the Light Source Whole House Water Filtration System, delivering highly filtered, delicious water from every tap in the house. No maintenance, no salt, no monthly service name. And part of their 40th anniversary, they're giving new customers a free ApiPure, worth over $900 with the purchase of the Ultimate Package. Please call them for details. They'll tell you all about it. The offer ends March 31. Call 800-WATER-99. Visit LifeSourceWater.com. 800-WATER-99. LifeSourceWater.com. Taste and feel the difference.
Clouds this morning. Should see some sunshine this afternoon. Highs in the upper 50s to upper 60s. This report brought to you by Allstate. We've got a crash in Pomona on the 10.
Have an unexpected stop there. Eastbound side of the 10, right there at Marcy. Business of injuries. 3 vehicles involved. It's all off on the right shoulder. The traffic super slow back from White Avenue all the way back almost to the Kellogg interchange. So that's going to cost you some time. The westbound side not doing much better. It's slow getting out of Ontario, partially because of the construction there. Slow starts at about Vineyard out through Montclair. The westbound side of the 10 also very slow as you approach Azusa Avenue from an earlier crash. It's slow all the way to El Monte. Once you get past the 605, it's a little bit better for you. We've got some problems on the eastbound side of the 10 in downtown. A crash clearing there. The 110 freeway, it's still slow though. About a French up, maybe even below Graham. Will Colschreiber, KFI in the Sky.
College hoops fans, it's tournament time. The thrill and excitement of March Mania is here, and you can Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers bet on any college basketball national tournament game and turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets. That's right. To celebrate college basketball's most frenzied time of the year, DraftKings is giving new customers a shot to rack up some bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code IHEART. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 instantly in bonus bets only with DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code IHEART. That's promo code IHEART. The crowd is yours. Must be 21 or older. Indiana only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/bball. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WIN-IT.
This is a radio app for Dupixent. Dupilumab, a prescription medicine for people 6 months ago with moderate to severe eczema that is not well controlled with topical prescription therapy. But since this is radio, you can't see the effect of Dupixent. You can't see how it helps you stay ahead of your eczema, or how it helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body causing eczema. You can't see how it helps heal your skin within, but you can see how Dupixent can help you have clear skin. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. It can help right away if you have wheezing, trouble breathing, swelling of your face, lips, mouth, tongue, and throat. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain, vision changes, or blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines. Talk to your doctor. See for yourself. Experience a specialist about you. Visit Dupixent.com or call 1-844.
A fraction of a raindrop. 3 grains of salt, at up to 100 times more potent than the tiniest amount of fentanyl. It's more close to causing overdose. Fentanyl can be mixed in with heroin, pressed pills, and other drugs. Being with drugs, you wouldn't be able to see it, taste it, or smell it. Learn more at cdc.gov/overdose.
Number one audio company, iHeartMedia gives you access to all every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights you need to grow. iHeartMedia is your access company. Go to iHeartResults.com for more.
Starts with the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at GetVaxPeople.com. Brought to you by iHeartMedia and the Ad Council.
If the public doesn't feel safe, because we're all wrong and he's right. You know how you feel. You know what you see. Most of those people are big crimes every day. John Cobell. That's your control.
It's 1 to 4 p.m. on K5
And on demand anytime on our radio.
Yeah, I got to see it. On 8:40, we'll handle here on a Taco Tuesday, March 12th. Segment on Tech Tuesday. Rich is here on Saturday. Our sonar website. Research for the oxygen Rich.
So this thing can't work. The sound under the so no one knows what it is. There's plenty of signals that you see birds. That's what they're saying. Fishing. I don't fish areas because Jason Fowler and years ago, because to use what you were talking about, and it got banned. So there's also not using it and to try to find out what's going on.
that I love to no, just don't pay. There's not been an acknowledgement that we might be interested in you. So that's what I'm hearing. More than a yeah, but you wouldn't say else. Are distrustful. Way. Yes. And because what they do is technical. It's not us. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. Tangent's one of our bad tangents. Of course, no, but the point is the same though. But, all right, so no, so we dimensional data that is towards us. Canada doesn't there. Don't do that. Don't stare at us. Yeah, don't do. Yeah, exactly. Because you end up with these similar conditions. Yes. Well, that's the thing.
This is my house. I'm well. How are you?
Did you see something? I don't know. So, these different perspectives, and then on top of that, here is bleeding. So, if we have physical side effects, place, those are not hallucinations. Those are things that are happening.
So is it a remote position or in the location? Okay, if you have anything remote, can you please contact me? I'm not looking to move to the furniture. I am, but not to open.
They've conducted this experiment. There's a lot of right. It's kind of like, well, we talked about this before. Hearing the loud tree or something crashing in the yeah, I didn't hear anything. I was going to the door. That's exploding. But now if I had also at the same truck, that would be away. Well, nothing falling, because it makes sense to me because you can't have the same exact manipulate. He'll talk about how he project is early. She was fine going in, so something overcame her when she got out of the building. She was like, oh, it was like wanted her to know it was weird that she was there. Right. And yeah, it was good. Terror Ontario, walk around whenever those corpses get near them. Something's going to come up. Discuss CO2 of this feeling of abject fear, non-fight or flight, paralyzation. We hear it all the time. Describe to us email us their stories about encounters with he's getting this right all about. I don't think people are quick to dismiss that. You just saw, you just saw her this way. By the way, you can't play and your field. So, what might I do or trying to share and all right, so you got everybody back home, and then, as I said, Mr. Q parted with scared to the area. Must be 11. I'm not sure. Right, they started. Yeah. So down one of the back roads area. Was suddenly overcome. Something that truly here is turned around and drove back. And what's happened again? Right, so the hair on the back of his neck stood up. He turned back. Figure out the exact
spot by memorizing.
Thanks,
Good.
At some point.
And you last now it's just very hard to see it. Now,
the entire show. Particularly if you're in
you notice that there's not a single wildlife species behind birds, no insects, nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I know the looks like they're on that part of the country. Myself grew up in a it's fine at night. Yeah, lots of crickets, cicadas, I love it. Yeah.
See, this is
yeah.
China.
Out and I tell you, you gotta walk back.
What's happening in
So
China
if
right
I
now?
was walking and each one step too far, came over to
To grow to Disneyland 4.9 billion. Disney's hoping to add new theme park attractions, shops, restaurants, and more within its core property. Most of the additions will be in the current story parking area. The proposal now advances to the Anaheim City Council. Each cleanup is found more than 1,000 pounds of oily waste from the
so eventually we're walking back through it and clockwise.
Richard
says
unconfirmed testing.
They must have some sort of ultrasonic. This finite amount went back many times.
is produced from a pipeline, that might be a vessel discharge, from
Report Thursday in Orange. KFI.
investigators are trying to figure out the cause of a fatal crash involving the Forest Service truck and 2 other cars near Pipa.
Photos from the scene show a firefighter crew truck flipped over and vehicle parts in a crowded area of Highway 38. The crash happened Saturday, killing one person in a civilian vehicle. All 9 firefighters in the truck were injured and taken to a hospital. The firefighters are part of a hotshot crew based in the fire station in the San Bernardino National Forest. Hotshot crews are inserted into the worst parts of the wildfire. The trucks are large, heavy, and specially designed for rugged terrain. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
The Russian Defense Ministry says a military transport plane with 15 people on board has crashed during takeoff. Officials say there were 8 crew and 7 passengers, and that an engine fire during takeoff was likely the cause of the crash. Top intelligence officials warned of threats coming from the southern border. During a hearing on Capitol Hill yesterday, FBI Director Christopher Wray said the FBI seized enough fentanyl in the last 2 years to kill 270 million people. He says smuggling networks will ties to ISIS. Concerns discussed included potential actions by Russia, Iran, and China, and risks posed by advances in AI. They also talked about the ongoing Israel-Hamas war.
Welcome home.
Astronauts from 4 countries returned to Earth aboard a SpaceX capsule.
99 days after they took off, 4 crew members, 1 each from Japan, Denmark, Russia, and the United States, have driven gently to the Gulf of Mexico to await the recovery boat.
As the crew returned from the International Space Station, one member said he couldn't wait to hear birds singing in the trees and that he was craving crunchies. We'll take the 5 with the Campaign Sky next.
Bad breath, absolutely no. If you've got bad breath, the people that you're talking with, living with, they don't like it. Even worse, you get to smell their breath. So let me introduce you to Zellman's Minty Mouth Mint. So really, it's not just a mint, it's refreshing. It's like swallow. And it's clinically tested. Shaking this little package of Zellman's Minty Mouth Mint.
That's actually and we started a thing. Shaking it.
Yeah, you can do this to music too. About 2 or 3 in your mouth, you suck up, and then you swallow the cap. For fresh, clean breath that lasts 4 hours, and you can bite into them. That'll work. It doesn't just cover up your bad breath. It cleans your breath. And first of all, you suck on the mini clean, then you swallow it. And well, it's up to minus all the time, and they give you a money back. I know you'll never use free shipping, 3-pack or right here. And I know folks behind elements for over 30 years. Matter of fact, I bought into the company. That's how much I believe in it. Go to Zeldins.com, VELMINS, 15% off with code KFI. That's 15% off again. When you use the code KFI at checkout, it's CELMINS, Zeldins, thank you, Neil, Zeldins.com. Oh, and two. Thanks, Nancy. It's going around. Zeldins.com. That was what, a minute and a half commercial? Yeah, that's about right. Okay.
Snowflake weather like mostly sunny after these morning clouds. That's sticky. After these morning clouds clear out, highs will be in the mid-60s at the beaches, mid-upper 60s for Metro LA, Inland Orange County, the valleys, and Inland Empire, 50s to 60s with gusty winds in the high desert. Clouds tonight and tomorrow morning, then clearing off to mostly sunny skies. A little bit warmer with highs in the 60s to low 70s. Sunny skies on the way to Thursday, all the way through the weekend. It's 55. 54 like Forest. Is this not closure? Instead of
good for a few hours. Caltrans and the CHP has the Caltrans off-ramp shut down there on the northbound side of the line. It was a group one trash fire. The contents in the back of the truck, apparently somebody threw something. It was not extinguished in 6 hours. So that puts us around 1 p.m. from when this was originally started. So definitely an area to avoid when you go north 14 and take solar power across. That'll get you around that problem. I should mention some other closures. Topanga Canyon completely shut down from Topanga Village all the way down to Pacific Coast Highway directly as they clean up landslide and rock slide activity there. PCH though is open through that whole stretch, but northbound down one lane. So yeah, there's some great things there as you get out of the Pacific Palisades area. And eastbound, we know people slowing on the westbound side. Eastbound side is still recovering from earlier crash and flow from Royal into downtown. Schreiber King.
College hoop fans, it's tournament time. Thrill and excitement of March Mania is here. And you can get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers bet on any basketball national tournament game and $5 $150 in bonus bets. That's right. Celebrate college basketball's most frenzied time of the year. DraftKings is getting to wrap up some bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code IHEART. Customers can bet $5 $150 instantly in bonus bet only with DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code IHEART. That's promo code IHEART. The crowd is yours. Must be 21. Indiana only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours per issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms Sportsbook at DraftKings.com/paintball. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-9-WIN-IT. At Ball State University, we're always reaching higher. One of the top frontier experiences in the country. That's in state finance. 115 majors and countless opportunities for career lifting experiences. Flat BSC.
One audio company, iHeartMedia, access to all every audience, live conversations, you need to grow. iHeartMedia is your access company. Go to iHeartResults.com for more.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts. Discover podcasts from our library of over 300 titles. An iHeartRadio podcast preview.
There it is.
Tiger Woods is one of the most awe-inspiring sports icons. In a lot of ways of America's history, its values, and ideals.
Puerto American Indian mothers have ties, Puerto Chinese and Puerto. That's why you.
Tiger has been world famous for decades. And his story, it comes with many chapters.
There was a
A shot from Saul from Grace.
I am deeply sorry
my irresponsible and selfish behavior.
And now, reveal.
And of course, what many believe is the greatest sports comeback of all time.
Many don't ever see it, but here it is.
But few people have really got to know Tiger.
And winning is kind of lonely. I knew we had to keep the world at bay.
It's largely been left to the media to tell the story.
We'll start with causes to be in front. Tiger Woods doesn't just play golf. He's like another guy.
No question in my mind.
Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods. This is All American, a new series from Stitcher, hosted by me, Jordan Bell. And this season, with the help of journalist Albert Chen, we're asking,
What is the story of Tiger Woods that the media what if it's completely wrong?
All American Tiger. Look out for episodes every Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. Number one for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
From live taping the King special,
Hello, GB.
social media. It's an important look at how social media is becoming
Power lines, transformers, microwave towers, and to add to that,
limited. It's free to attend. Go to
How's your day?
KFIAMC.com/enter. Be a part of the
I hope you're doing well.
enter.
KFI, M640. Bill Handel here. Hey, Taco Tuesday, March the 12th. As I continue on, coming up next segment, Big Pharma. And a federal judge, a Trump judge, slams one. Talk about Trump. Anything you buy, said make it.
Of course, so what do you think about that? What do you think about that?
That's
He didn't see Norton. He didn't see this in particular. That's something because it happened early on in the something was a lot more going on. It's a great gun that year. Generates driver as a byproduct. It's some kind of process that does not say for that because if you believe any of this, you go down the shadow, terrorizing people, scaring people to their parents.
Now it's
physiological. Was that scary? No, she's the media. Demi Moore feels fear. You don't know more through the hands massaging her. But the point is that he's defined his area so from a scientific standpoint because you step into it, you step out. Think about it, we have somewhat similar technology. I don't think it's universal. Microwave beam and it's a really, really intense spot where they're eating this at you. And what you want to do is that's what works great for groundless person. You want the area sand, and so that's the opposite. Yes, they don't charge for this, but if you want you to get out, volume. Yes, I actually understand and experienced a new technology. Now, got a wanting us for some of the
find out need
directed beam of audio of flowing out flat panels
And that's interesting. Wasn't a mean my panel was actually speaker, but it was somebody said the only person in the audience was interesting is that large convention. Electric vehicle. I advertise yours as a product. You can see the crowd is freaked out. Yeah, it was like 4 hours. So and that's because the people next to you, and that's not special or another control back and forth. Is that means you're in a large metal tube, it's very noisy. Everybody having to wear headphones. Only hear the channels. No speaker above. They're only hear the top. And you're supposed to wear they're not going to tested at the moment. So control that take a look at going to this area. Right. It's I don't know. Well, that also adds to the fear, of course. It adds to the some kind of I'm not sure. Anything. No. No, almost like the from going down, turn around and go back. Crowd control. Swear. That's a good mention this in an older episode. For sound Sonic and 1975 before we talked about how the ultrasonic sound could engender a feeling. He himself was describing the technology reason to what he thought was happening. We mentioned this experiment that happened in September completely 2000. Mysteriously, shivers down the spine, frequency sound that is inaudible to humans. British scientists have shown in a controlled experiment that the strong sound produces a range of bizarre effects, including anxiety, extreme sorrow, supporting others, infrasound, strange conversations. That normally Richard, scientist at the National Laboratory on projects at London. Gordon and his colleagues with a 3-foot high its impact on 750 people at a concert was also generated by
he decided level of
psychologist at the University of Hertfordshire in southern England. Born and wisely played 42 of live living in some place at a London concert hall and asked the audience to describe their reactions.
With all 6
not know that you can $10 million, but 22% reported more unusual experiences when it was present in music. Their unusual experiences included feeling uneasy or sorrowful, chills down the spine or nervous. Well, results suggest that both sounds cause they cannot consciously impact sound. Plenty of findings in the British Association in terms of that phenomenon, infrasound is also produced by storms and weather patterns and some types of influence communicate over long distances.
the experience that he had
Fair
witnessed himself.
price.
But of course, phenomenon
Before closing.
is after there's a certain power line. It's people often, the past, but 42%.
Becoming mostly sunny.
Graphical. If you were snobs of trees, it's to say, depending on the naps, right? Exactly. Hard by personal growing a house. Worry about it. That is the original story where I don't remember the names of the first study, and I think the details matter. At a search facility or university, and it's hot. And he was working on his home.
Is sponsored by
So he has a device. He starts noticing this thing is like vibrating wildly. He's a scientist. He's a skeptical man by nature. He's like, okay, what's causing this? This is not right. There's no ghost. I don't see anything. First one, bed sheet pulls cut out. There's nothing ghost-like. That's not where his mind went first. He's like, okay, that's very strange. I can see it. I can feel this kind of uneasy. Then he's finding out exactly what was causing it. They found it was the air ducts and a AC exchange. So his hot cold air went through it, air conditioning, and when the joints aren't fitting properly, you get a little vibration like a whistle. It was the air passing through these ducts that was causing an infrasound scenario right there in that room. And what it is like, yeah, you're now the confluence of these sine waves. You're getting like waves. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So it's constructive interference. Very good. Yeah. But what it is an amplified effect. So, we all experience a little bit of it in an old building where the pipes are fitting very well. You may not get all those experiences like a feeling of dread, but he knows that, like, well, whatever it is, it's really, at this point in the room where the sword was cooling down, he's getting a hot spot. That's why it was vibrating so loud. This is like a human dog whistle of fear. A little bit, yeah. No, but you know what? Let's talk about it. You know what's interesting about this? The Mythbusters took a look at this. And I didn't know that until today. I looked it up. Mythbusters episode 193, which aired on October 28th as part of a Halloween special in 2012, where they went on the air coverage that shows. So they took a look at infrasound as fear-inducing. They went out to 4 abandoned cabins in the woods, and they filled one of them with this imperceptible infrasound. And then they had 10 people spend 3 minutes in each cabin. They told their volunteers that something bad had happened in each one of the cabins, and they intentionally picked, I watched this segment, they intentionally picked a place that was run down, but not so creepy that they would be automatically creeped. Just as it was a resort that hasn't been, no one had used in like 50 years. Okay. So it's called Myers.
X-ray, MRI.
So out of the 10 volunteers that went into these cabins, only indicated the cabin number 3.
250.
Busters declared infrasound as a fear example. I want to say what? Are outlined together. That's 20%. Absolutely. So
That's his face.
For me, it was not necessarily busted. This is statistically insignificant. Might not necessarily be the case.
Everybody has. Exactly. Now, if two people exactly the same, you can 100% win. Right. That's a theory. It's all wrong. You know, which I'm not getting at. I love that concert. That's why. Yeah. It's the greatest number of standard. And so, something else. We understand 150 people on the back of it. And so, going over the I was terrorized that made experienced hikers and outdoors people have what's going on. But people all experience that. You say this. The good point. I'm very interested for the first time. No, I guess maybe it did, but to experience here, I mean, showing that the 20%. They all happen to go in the same ranking group. They have that same experience for effects. My point is, that is way, way, way too high for natural infrasound. Infrasound goes on all over the world. I read a story years ago about a university team experimenting with very low frequency sound. And this totally might be false, but maybe not even find this on the internet anywhere, even actually. But I read this article that the university team had basically constructed something that was like a giant referee whistle that had taken a wind machine, blown air through it to use very low frequency sound, and the effect was everybody around it immediately fell over and started vomiting. Totally incapacitated. Yeah. Now I believe that effect. That's possible. I believe that something that big and low and loud could have that effect on a great number of people around. Yeah. There were definitely students in my high school that had car stereos. Oh yeah, yeah. There were people like that. When people, they did it at concerts, like down the corner on the roof. Yeah, you can see it vibrating. People want to sit on the speakers at a concert. Some people do. Yeah, not everybody finds it difficult, but there's other guys. It's crazy, but again, it doesn't affect everybody. So the point is that just the odds, but the fact that all these people were prone to this, all under the same category, just by accident, and all have a very high level of fear, terror, and at the same time, I would just guess that that's not possible. So if you talk to Keel in the Keel situation, it's like being in the four corners, like I'm in Arizona. Yeah, you're jumping back and forth. It's very believing. Then that tells me that it's more, I guess, mechanical in a way, or there's something creating this. It's not a natural Del Zono, freak out. It's like running an exact speed that's happening naturally. So that's just my assessment of what John Keel was experiencing. That just very narrow, directed sensation.
Okay, so we have to get the money.
Just out of curiosity, is there a ScottFilmer.com website lurking out there somewhere on the interwebs? Yeah, actually, I did register the domain name, but I never had the time to learn how to develop it the way I wanted. Yeah, me too. I got a couple of domain names, and now they're just sitting there for years as one of millions of site under construction domains. Well, obviously, we're not the only ones to have a placeholder part of the internet for years, with no hope of ever becoming anything. But now there's a solution, and that solution is Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one solution for starting from nothing to having a beautiful website that works for you the moment you publish. With Squarespace, you can register a domain name and extension, choose from hundreds of designer templates to create your own look, pick the functions you want your site to have, and then you're ready to showcase your work, promote your business, and sell your products, or just have fun with your own online presence. You don't have to read a bunch of books or take expensive courses to become a webmaster, because not only do they make creating a website as easy and quick as possible, Squarespace is there for you 24/7 with their award-winning customer support.
Whether it's e-commerce functionality, analytics, and built-in search engine optimization, or you just want something that looks cool for your blog, Squarespace is the answer. And now you can check out everything Squarespace has to offer with a free trial just by going to squarespace.com. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code LEGENDS to save 10%. Squarespace, make it beautiful.
Medicare is forced to buy it for Medicare patients.
You're listening to a Sonic Congratulations.
You're still going to make plenty of money.
Back to the show.
Big
Well, here's the other thing about the Mythbusters episode. At the top of the episode, when they were setting things up, Jamie was testing things out, and he was sitting in that cabin, the third cabin, which he knew, of course, was playing the 1900s tone. When they first turned it on, it was rattling the windows and everything. So they had to do all this kind of things. So there's one rattling, whether they could hear or not. And Jamie was sitting in a chair in there, and didn't have a feeling. I had a feeling of anxiety.
Butterflies in my stomach. I'm really tired. I've had too much coffee. It's sort of anxiety. I don't know.
I thought that he said that, and of course that's why the editors put it in there, because everybody's going to. But he acknowledged that, even though they busted that myth. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Well, no, it's yes, to extreme level. What if you took a lot of system? Yeah, I'm talking about when does it start to affect? Yeah, when you start bleeding from your and you're getting the war of this. I heard that elephants can hear heads down to 5 years. Nothing can be low. It's hard to we're not that size. Right. What I'm wondering is that, what if you just bring these things up? Can they bring these up to those levels where you feel like you want for your life? I mean, quick aside here, I have always been a huge fan. My son loves it. I'm watching it together.
Beauty store manager at Robert's e-commerce is critical.
Also, something else. Actually, my wife, voice awesome. That Myers produced it. And now we were there. I had tried to do that. I just missed the story. I had convinced various lots of
one of those guys tells me his business.
Yeah. So I'm sad to miss it, but I did notice that he was tweeting. He had a party probably for industry people or something, and at this party he had some stuff there that he
sister called 911 Saturday and said
the very rare Sankara stones from Indiana Jones, which he owns. The original film. Yeah, and he had them there in a case, and one of them got stolen at this party sometime after 9:45 p.m. I think on July 12th of 2015.
for today.
And he had gone and was tweeting about it, and I just feel really bad for him, and I just wanted to say, in spirit of how that worked out, we're
I mean, it's been arrested.
So I would say we want to do this because of anyone who might have it, this information to the person who have it, to us, and we'll get it back to them. No questions. As of now, 0-4 Candy Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 91607. If you listen to it here after it was released, our contact details are web. Check it through. Most people are shipping it. My traps are set. Just out here. Thank you. I would also
increase.
Let's get back on topic here. Good luck with this.
Says the consumer prices were 3.2% higher compared to a year ago.
So now I want to talk a little bit about the things that happened leading up to the collapse of the grid. I want to invest into some sort of every choice I made before it is part of the grid. Whatever was messing with it, we had the ability to use future about him, to know about himself. A lot of us didn't make it really in a fascinating way, but firstly, deciding to demonstrate how this kind of stuff happens. National investigation, aerial phenomenon, calls 1967 of all waves. Usually have a little to astronomical having not just all of the United States and all of the in this story, which was from January of 1967, a man named Tad Jones, having been on Route 64 in Dunbar, Virginia. Dunbar is about 49 miles southeast of Lakeland. Route 64 was brand new. In fact, it had yet still paying the stripes on. Yeah, real estate. Construction trust slowed down. Floating in midair elsewhere. About 20 to 25 that it had. Four legs attached to it with all that wheels at the bottom of it, like caster wheels. And then also two antennas like that on top of it. Like you're in front of a hospital. So that's a good article from Beckley, West Virginia, Friday morning, January 20th, with an interview about when he saw that. I cited this off the quiet distance. It must be State Road Commission around it, 20 feet diameter across the westbound lanes. The truck walked up. It was hovering about 3 or 4 feet. It had 4 wheels. All of the balls apparatus was falling. At the top was a round window with 2 antennas. In the middle of the object was a protruding and it connected to the earth sunlight. It was a blue in color. Down at the window, didn't see anything. I stood there. Then it jetted without any exhaust or motor whatsoever. It was lit up. Watched it for a minute and a half until it passed. I was amazed. It was some time back in the truck. Pretty quiet before I decided I reported this to the country airport.
Stories to bring.
There is no noise, no exhaust. Hello. Hello to me.
We're going back to the Bigelow Aerospace designs.
Yeah. It's very stealthy. Anyway, so that's the article. On the surface, that's just another sighting story. Right. Here's the thing that's different about it. A few days after Tad's sighting,
an issue of True Magazine hit the stands with an article in it that John Keel had written. True Magazine was printed from 1937 to 74, and it changed a lot over the years. Originally it was called like True Magazine for Men or something. Yeah, it was all outdoorsy. Then there was another editor that took over, I think, in the 50s, who was super no, after 1947, this got really popular. Yeah, exactly. Still for kids, sci-fi, plus, but mostly it's kids stuff. But John was a contributor, I'm sure he was in great stories. And so he had sent in a freelance article to contribute to True Magazine. And this particular issue came out in just a few days.
If I wanted crap shoved down my throat, I'd be a foie gras goose.
Gary and Shannon.
It never gets old seeing people in the new shared workspace down the hall on Zoom calls talking about a Q3 rollout. And in the speakers overhead, it's like 369, damn, she's fine. And it's blasting because we've got this new boss, mentioned it before, who thinks we should have our stations piped in. And I love it. It's a great idea. Real 92.3 is one of our stations. It seems to get the early morning slot.
It does. It rotates, and that's when it hits. It's right when the meeting starts.
It's very funny.
Okay, a lot going on. I did something I haven't done in probably 45 years. I got shampoo in my eye this morning, and I almost called out. Like, I was afraid to drive to work. My eye hurt so bad. What a toddler move to get shampoo in your eye.
Am I going to have to get no tears?
Can you tell which one? Just by looking at me. Point to which one you think it is. It
Probably that one.
No, it was this one. It was really red this morning.
Well, they're both kind of red.
Well, now because I've been crying.
Why didn't you just flush it out?
I tried.
What kind of shampoo do you use?
Apparently bad
Battery
stuff.
acid?
Yeah, it's not safe for children, that's for sure.
I'm going to get you some Johnson & Johnson.
No, I'm fine.
I'm going to order it right now on Amazon.
I learned very quickly, keep your eyes closed.
Oh, boy.
Checking myself out in the mirror, I guess.
Is that a new undershirt?
This, yes.
Yeah, I can tell.
Bright white.
I now know your undergarments.
I realize those I don't wear them all the time, but they go so quickly. They're just made so shoddily these days.
They are.
So I got some new t-shirts. The glory for else. Like
I V-neck on a woman. I have been addicted to white V-necks.
I will not disagree with you.
For many years. One of my girlfriends makes fun of me pretty regularly because I've been wearing white V-necks for 30 years. I have like 5 in my drawer.
We're watching what's going on Capitol Hill right now. The House Judiciary Committee is interviewing, is probably the better way to put it, Robert Hur, formerly of the Department of Justice. He has retired from his position, but he was the one who put out the report that suggested that President Biden could have been charged with a crime for the way he mishandled classified documents, but that they wouldn't bring charges, or he didn't recommend charges, because the jury would look at him as sort of a senile old guy who was just forgetful.
It was gratuitous. It was absolutely gratuitous. Because here's the thing, you don't need to say that as a special counsel. You just need to believe if you can win that case or not, if you can prove beyond reasonable doubt or what have you. You don't have to give your reasoning for why you don't think you could get a conviction in the case. It's very rare for a prosecutor to reveal what their reasoning is. The number 2 thing is, don't forget, this is a deposition. They are told by their counsel. I don't recall. I repeatedly said, I couldn't remember who was or handled sensitive documents, how they ended up in boxes that were moved to a private office, homes he occupied after leaving the vice presidency. And that is the only option in terms of how he should answer those questions. If you come out there and you're like, oh yes, of course I knew where the classified documents were. Oh yes, and I transported them and I put them next to the Corvette. Then you're guilty. That's against your counsel. That is more of a sign of dementia than obfuscating.
Here was part of Robert Hur's opening statement.
The department's regulations required me to write a confidential report explaining my decision to the Attorney General. I understood that my explanation about this case had to include rigorous, detailed, and thorough analysis. In other words, I needed to show my work. My assessment in the report about the relevance of the president's memory was necessary and accurate and fair. Most importantly, what I wrote is what I believe the evidence shows and what I expect jurors would perceive and believe.
This guy watched a bunch of it this morning. This guy knows what he's talking about, standing by his report, despite actually people on both sides of the aisle trying to get at him. Here was Congressman Hank Johnson out of Georgia, Democrat.
Despite clearing President Biden from being prosecuted, you used your report to trash and smear President Biden because he said in response to questions over a 5-hour interview that he didn't recall how he got the documents. And you knew that that would play into the Republicans' narrative that the president is unfit for office because he's senile. And the American people saw during the State of the Union address that that was not true. But yet that's what you tried to offer to them, and that's why they are having you today. They can expand on that narrative, and you knew that that's what was going to happen.
Congressman, I reject you're just paid is not.
Let me move on. You are a
whatsoever.
You are a member of the free society, are you not?
And fair.
He is a Republican.
Society. You are a Republican, no one.
I'm a registered Republican.
Sure.
Okay, so did Johnson to say, and who but he was approved unanimously by the Senate.
You can't ignore that. When all of this came out, it didn't come out that he's a Republican, it didn't come out that Trump appointed him. You have to take it all into consideration.
Well, now we do, yes, because of the way that politics is pointing. Also, and CNN, Fox, both carrying Robert Kerr's testimony on before that Judiciary Committee. What does it mean? What does it matter? How does it impact us in our daily lives? A little bit. Below him, right there in the little corner, all of those intelligence chiefs that testified yesterday from the House are in front of the Senate today, talking about literal threats to our democracy from outside and internal sources. That's not the headline.
That's gotten no attention. In fact, all of the national news last night led with Princess Kate and all her photos. Forget about the FBI reports. All right, coming up next.
They said people wear female t-shirts. They're just monsters.
I don't see the courtroom.
They're the ones that are driving this mess. All right.
Right. No, I don't think it's about the V-necks. Coming up next, Boeing whistleblower turned up dead. Suspicious? We'll find out. Amy King is in the newsroom.
And for the record, Shannon and Carrie, we had an interview this morning on the of course you did. Okay. A man sleeping in her car has been killed when the owner of the vehicle started her car and ran over. It happened shortly before 4:30 this morning on North Reseda Boulevard. The possibly homeless man was trapped under a Mercedes when police arrived and abducted the scene. The Prime Minister of Haiti has agreed to resign. The capital city of Port-au-Prince has been racked by out-of-control violence. Haiti declared a state of emergency last weekend after gangs banded together and attacked government institutions, airports, seaports, and got into prisons and set thousands of prisoners free. Raspberries program, Eric Carmen has died. His wife says he passed away over the weekend after the Raspberries program in the 70s went on to have a successful solo career with hits like All By Myself, I'm Gonna Fall in Love Again, and Hungry Eyes from Dirty Dancing. Eric Carmen was 74. Some clouds in around this morning, sunny skies this afternoon, highs in the 50s to upper 60s. This report brought to you by Robert Knapp. For this Southern California community, this traffic center, let's go places. We've got a crash in Chatsworth on 118.
Feels about it. It's going to be 118. Right in sort of delays all the way back from almost can't have any on the west side. So yeah, you're going to find some sort of spot what it is. We're a little south, but if you spot what it is, let's go around 250. Full see where we have a lot of traffic. Also earlier, south on 5
Sunrise Boulevard are causing delays back from the 405, and I should mention the 405 is especially slow today. Southbound from Roscoe Boulevard all the way down through the Spalding Pasture on Sunset Boulevard. Don't forget, we still have that closure up to the north. On 5 and Calgary, that off-ramp shut down until the afternoon. They're waiting for a trash truck. It is slow through the Santa Clarita area. No fault driver, KFI this week.
This is a good plan for fixing a prescription that was in for 6 months in moderate to severe eczema that is not well controlled with topical prescription therapy. But since this is radio, you can't see the effects of fixing. You can't see how it helps you stay ahead of your eczema, or how it helps block the source of inflammation inside the body that could be causing eczema. You can't see how it helps heal your skin from pain, but you can see how your patient can help you have clearer skin and less individual differences in serious allergic reactions and help right away if you have weak or swelling of your face, lips, mouth, tongue, throat. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye vision changes, blurred vision, joint aches, pain, or a parasitic infection. Take your stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. See for yourself. Ask your agent specialist about your patient. Visit Dixon.com or call 1-844-NEXT.
A fraction of a raindrop, grams of salt, cut up to 100 times more potent and more. The tiniest amount of legal fentanyl is all it takes to cause overdose. Fentanyl can be mixed into heroin, cocaine, pills, meth, and other drugs. It could be in your drugs. You wouldn't be able to see it, taste it, or see it. Learn more at cdc.gov/top-dose.
College hoops fans, it's tournament time. The thrill and excitement of March is here, and you can get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers bet on any college basketball now. $5 and $150 instantly in bonus bets. That's right. To celebrate college basketball's most frenzied time of the year, DraftKings is giving new customers a shot to rack up some bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code IHEART. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 instantly in bonus bets only with DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code IHEART. That's promo code IHEART. The crown is yours. Must be 21 or older. And all bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Eligibility and restrictions apply. At DraftKings.com/bball. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
No matter what the day brings, count on Juicy Juice for the good stuff. Get Juicy, which makes a real 100% fruit juice to help them pull through the day. Juicy Juice is with no sugar added, no corn syrup, and artificial sweeteners. Available in family-size bottles and boxes. Your favorite grocery retailer. Info at juicyjuice.com.
Tanya here. There are many ways that we can all help raise awareness around HIV, but maybe the most important is just talking about it openly and honestly. There's no cure for HIV, but there are effective treatments that, taken as prescribed, can help you live healthy with HIV and help you stay under control, which means the amount of the virus is so low it can't be measured by lab tests. If you're living with HIV and not on treatment, talk to your doctor about treatment options. Learn more at treathivtoday.com. This message is sponsored by Gilead Sciences.
$5 credit.
Stop, right?
I didn't really know. $5. Got on. Hell, my phone didn't. $5. My phone's free just to get a hamburger, fries, and Coke. Live 4 to 7 p.m. on KFI. And on demand anytime from the radio app.
Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. We will continue to monitor what's going on Capitol Hill. The full transcript of the special counsel deposition with President Biden over classified documents has been provided to Congress. Congress, one of my favorite points in the transcript from what I've read is when he talks about his visit to Mongolia. So he describes in vivid detail because his allies think giving people the full transcript will shed light on the fact that he is not a doddering old fool. He was just trying to obfuscate when it came to the classified documents that he doesn't have strong memories. And one of his strong memories yet was from 2011 when he goes for a state visit to Mongolia, where he talks about displaying unexpected archery skills at an event to, it was a cultural performance in his honor, and then he wowed everybody with these archery skills he didn't even know he had. Like a Trump,
I would brag about it too.
Totally.
There's also, that's one of those transcripts, by the way. It has been pointed out that President Biden was the one who brought up the death of Bo Biden first.
Yes.
It was revisited later, but remember, the report came out, one of the issues that the president suggested was that Robert Burr asked him about the death of Bo Biden, and then in his news conference later that night, President Biden said, I thought to myself, how dare he?
Right. I mean, I think that maybe what he meant was how dare he press him on the issue. Because, roughly midway through the first day of the interview, Burr asks Biden about where he might have stored documents related to the work he was engaged in after he left the vice presidency in 2017. And Biden replies, remember in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying.
While on the other side, the driver of former President Trump's armored limo on January 6th disputed some of the testimony. If you remember Cassidy Hutchinson, when she testified before Congress, she said that she heard that former president had tried to take control of the car. Remember, he supposedly leaned forward from the backseat to try to get the steering wheel of his car to go to the Capitol. The witnesses have affirmed that he did insist on going to the Capitol, but this detail released as part of a bigger report from most Republicans takes aim at Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony. Bobby Engel, I think, was the Secret Service driver's name. And he said, the president did want to go to the Capitol, but we told him there's no plan for that. And you don't just come up with a plan for that on the fly. Cassidy Hutchinson, it's not necessarily just. There were problems with her testimony in the first place because most of it was hearsay. So it's not a criminal trial, so she could say whatever she wants basically in front of Congress. If no one's going to challenge her, she's relating stories that were related to her.
In that vein, he took to Truth Social, Trump did, and said his first acts as president will be to free those who he called the January 6th hostages who wrongfully imprisoned. Of course, more than 1,300 people have been charged, 950 convicted.
A reminder that the events in Haiti right now, there are still 50 Americans and Canadians running out of Haiti. This bloody uprising that has shut down the airports. Also, Mitch Albom, apparently one of the people in Haiti right now trying to get out and stay with their friend. But later on this hour, we're going to be talking with a correspondent from Miami Herald, Jacqueline Schultz, who's covering Haiti exclusively and extensively over the last couple of weeks.
Former Boeing employees about safety concerns. The company has been found dead in his car over the weekend in Charleston, South Carolina. His name is John Barnett, 62, worked as a quality manager for Boeing for over 30 years before he retired in 2017. Said there appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
He in Charleston for interviews based on that case. That formal deposition last week was being questioned by Boeing's lawyers and prosecuted by his own lawyer, but when he didn't show up for questioning on Saturday for him at his hotel, that's when they found his truck. It was a parking lot. He was inside. One of the whistleblowers who talked about the concerns of quality control and safety at that production plant in South Carolina. Specifically, that's where the 787 Dreamliner gets built. And that 787 is the one that was in the news just the other day for having dropped out of the sky. Not out of the sky, but it dropped 100 feet. The one where the instrument panels went dark. We talked with Alex Stone about it. Not that this guy was affected, because his death apparently came before the 787 issue.
just an idea that Boeing has what appears to be an identical problem with this quality control. And we're going to have a rough go of it in the next couple of weeks once the FAA is even more involved in the investigation.
Coming up next, a survey that should change the way we live life. Majority of teens feel happy and peaceful without smartphones. It's from the Water is Wet file. You know this. We're talking about how happy and peaceful we feel. Well, will it result in any sort of change?
It's important for us to fight against our lizard brains. When something starts tickling our lizard brain, we have a hard time turning away from it.
Yeah, and our brains are shrinking.
We're big, dumb V-neck wearing it. I do it.
Yes, you were. Yeah. And yes, I am an animal.
See, my points.
Shannon, I love a lot of people too. What some men's all size, white, black shirt. Just curious. Soft white V-neck.
Target, $9. You get them in all colors, but and they're super cuts. They've got a couple different V-necks usually.
Like a deep V.
They've got a deeper V. They've got sometimes they've got cropped V. I'm not a fan of
old cropped V.
Like crop top, like more crop top.
Neck?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just was channeling the offer. Just thinking to myself, you're gonna pay full price for less material?
Oh boy, that's really next level. Shannon will continue. Hey, guess what we do.
A new bill in California could end daylight saving time and the need to change the clocks. The bill introduced last month is similar to a measure approved by voters in 2018. It says daylight saving time would be able to require the state to observe year-round standard time. The American Medical Association says seasonal time changes should be replaced with the standard year-round time. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine also found following standard time would benefit public health and safety. It is brought to you by Cunning Dental. A horse named Nala, who fell into a ditch, has been rescued by firefighters in Miguel. Nala lost her footing yesterday while walking across a bridge and fell into a 4-foot ditch. UC Fire Authority says a vet sedated the horse so firefighters could hoist her from the hole. Authority says there were long cheers for Nala when she finally stood up again. The 4 parks get the worst air quality in the U.S., all in California. The National Parks Consultant Association says nearly 97% of national parks across the country have significant or unsatisfactory levels of human-caused pollution. The 2024 report found Joshua Tree, Sequoia, and Kings Canyon National Parks and the Mojave National Preserve are the most dangerous or considered because of air pollution. The report says in total, 96% of parks have ozone pollution that negatively affects human health. The IDF has confirmed a soldier who was earlier believed to be held hostage by Hamas was actually killed in the October 7th terror attacks in Israel. President Biden says he's devastated to learn the dual U.S.-Israeli citizen Itai Chan was killed in October.
His father later in December, and he said, "What you have to endure what the family went through." The president, and I reaffirm the pledge to all still held hostage.
Karen Tracker says there's still 5 Americans being held captive by Hamas. She says 3 others are confirmed dead. Their bodies are still with the terror group. The FAA's 6-week audit of Boeing's 737 MAX jet production has found dozens of problems in the manufacturing process.
New York Times reports the company has failed 33 of the 89 audits the FAA conducted after a door panel blew off mid-flight. Later found 4 months missing.
ABC's Lionel Moisey says the FAA also did 13 audits of Boeing's supplier Spirit Aerosystems. 7 of those reportedly resulted in a failing grade. Bitcoin has reached a record high. The cryptocurrency hit over $72,000 yesterday, just a few days after passing the previous high, $60,000 that was set in 21. The record continues a steady climb back up for Bitcoin, which has gone up more than 50% past 2 months. Southland weather from KFI becoming sunny. Highs in the 60s at the beaches, mid to upper 60s in Metro LA, Inland OC, the valleys, and Inland Empire. 50s and low 60s with the gusty winds in the high desert. Clouds tonight and tomorrow morning, very off to sunny skies. A little bit warmer with highs in the 60s to low 70s. Sunny skies Thursday and Friday, with highs in the low to mid 70s. And we're going to see sunny skies through the weekend. It's 58 in Irvine, 58 in Garden Grove. I'm just with the KFI in the sky. Maybe somebody was sleeping.
It's almost the end of the month. People who make a lot, they don't tie their mattresses down properly. That's what we've got here. Triple-A Western. I don't have any mattress in the run. You know, nobody wants to stop the open mattress, so traffic is all the way back. So that's what it is. Slow down on the Western side. Just the old way. It's Posse to Heights. That's all the way in from Montebello to their problems. New crowds in Long Beach, 45 northbound, actually 45 northbound at Woodruff, making things a bit slow there. Also, northbound at Broadway, tying things up. It's been pretty slow for a little bit as we approach the scene. And the way things are to the planning. Did have something in lanes, or at least off right there. It really is a closure of some sort. Traffic is quite close. Just so.
College hoops fans, it's tournament time. The thrill and excitement of March Mania is here. You can get on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers bet on any college basketball national tournament game and turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets. That's right. To celebrate college basketball's most exciting time of the year, DraftKings giving new customers a shot to rack up some bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code IHEART. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 instantly in bonus bets only with DraftKings Sportsbook. With promo code IHEART. That's promo code IHEART. The crown is yours. Must be 21 or older. Indian only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms and sportsbook at DraftKings.com/call. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9.
For marketers important today, Capital One's Chief Branding Officer, Mark Wade, on building loyalty with customers.
Capital One has really worked to create amazing access moments for our customers. We do sound check parties that only Capital One card holders can access to. We can't pull that off without iHeart.
As the #1 audio company, iHeart gives marketers access to the audiences, insight, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, iHeartResults.com.
At the Cross Center, Diego takes lessons to practice his favorite instrument. After he always saves energy for a spin. That's why he's known as first musician. The Cross is important for the center, so click on the link. Get it to it.
Rams keeps you on top of pop culture. Rumored to have an album out later this year, we know for sure that they'll also have an upcoming docuseries. They took the number Bon Jovi story. Promises 4 years of number 14 pictures, early videos, and unreleased albums, tracking the guy's wild ride from his on the shore to legendary rockers who sold over 130 million albums worldwide. The streamer says that the series is the full cooperation of all past and present members of the band, and really make for some interesting stories. They do tonight the Bon Jovi story drops 8 months on Hulu. That's what's flopping on Gas on iHeartRadio. The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts. One. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast. This guy, hey, love working with me.
I wanted to really lights me up. I love her community, connecting people.
She was excited about your new job.
Literally, I had my husband all the time. Let's create the biggest networking community on the planet.
Lisa's new boss was a 6'5" entrepreneur from Israel named Abdul, and he had a brand new startup called WeWork.
I remember thinking, all right, I'm about to be on a ride.
This better idea for millennials. Fun office. We created
said that they were some people on the planet.
It was $1 billion idea. Giant WeWork
That is the stuff from the world. Vancouver.
Here.
And business wars series. We crashed a $37 million startup with a lot of hot wait. Just all sounded that was too good to be true.
Oh my goodness.
I'm David Brown, the host of Business Wars. We crashed wherever you're listening right now.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
AFI AM 640. The news. It's what matters.
Couple things to remember, you can always listen to past shows, past segments. Gary Shannon on go to the iHeartRadio app. Of course, our radio app. And just type in Gary and Shannon. You'll see not only our live feed, but also the past shows, the past segments. You can also go to KFIAM40.com and then / Gary and Shannon. It will be our page there that's all the information. And then, of course, you can always leave us a message on the talkback feature on the iPhone app, whether it's about deep V-neck t-shirts or shampoo in your eye.
Better than shampoo in your eye. I'm going to use that as the new stick in your eye.
I would appreciate that because I'll bring it up every once in a while to remind me how stupid I am.
Speaking of stupid, the whole Avid Lex Mookie Nets switcheroo is proving to be just that. I mean, it's a real problem, them switching out, moving Mookie over to short and putting Gavin, especially when Gavin had errors like he did at second yesterday in spring training. Now, it's early to make that switch, too, which is probably an indicator. The doctors think they've got a problem with Gavin Lux. It seems like he's just putting his head.
Well, how do you not? I mean, he's been injured too much early in the career. And there's 3 other guys that can probably play. 4 other guys that can play the first couple of 4.
And then you can't send him down. He's already been sent down. That just further damages his confidence. You can't get anything for him. It's a real bind.
Scott Peterson is going to appear virtually before San Antonio judge. That hearing is going on right now. The LA new evidence that supports Scott Peterson's claim of innocence in the death of his wife, Lacey.
The important thing to note is there's a very low bar when it comes to the Innocence Project and quote-unquote new evidence.
Well, I guess it's about the van. This is not new evidence. I remember hearing about this orange van that was on fire the morning after she disappeared.
There's going to be testimony, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or interviews from people that lived in the area that saw the van the day before she was missing or what have you. This goes back to Mark Garrigus's theory that there were roving tribes of witches or whatever. Gypsies, yeah, that were starting pregnant women for sacrificial killings. It's all baloney. There's no chance Scott Peterson is.
Quick note, Valentino says he was told not to finalists for the nominees for Best Picture.
Right.
They're short on time.
The Squatter Hunter, by the way, the LA Times did a great article about this guy who calls himself the Squatter Hunter. Squatters in your home, he will outscore your squatters.
EQ Research Center survey published yesterday, 74% happy when they don't have a smartphone in their hand.
Now, how do people respond to this? Because I know this is I know that I'm one of the 74%, not a teenager, but I know that I'm happier and more peaceful without my smartphone in my realm. If it's the other room, I'm much happier, much more peaceful, much more chill, focused.
Do you notice that?
Yes.
The thing is, I'll leave my phone downstairs.
like on a weekend night, I'll leave my phone downstairs. I usually have it plugged in over on the bookcase here.
You also don't understand why people would pay for a crop top because it should cost less without that extra material. You're not the demo of somebody who's addicted to their phones. I spent enough time with you to know that you're not who we should be concerned about.
But I fully do get caught up in the blizzard cycle where time will fly up and I will not remember what just happened.
I understand it more when you're waiting for something, whether you're in line at Disneyland or you're at the car wash or what have you. And I get mad at myself when I think, oh, I have this phone. I was wasting all this time. And I'm like, whatever happened to you having a book at all times?
Somebody likes to judge others on their looks. One of the great things to do here is watch other people because they're not paying attention to you. You can stare at them. They are so deep in your phone, they will never know that you were judging them from a distance.
You also have an oversized appetite when it comes to judging strangers.
You have no idea.
I do. Not everybody does that. And I would stop admitting it so much.
Well, I'm just saying. If I'm actively involved in a conversation with somebody, I'm not going to be distracted by insert name of person to be judged either. It's when I know that I have freed up my brain and they are not making to me. Throwing stones.
It sounds like a little behavior.
Sometimes it fits.
Okay. Anyway, back to the survey.
Parents and advocates have grown more concerned about the consequences of social media on kids and teenagers' mental health, which of course has prompted federal and state regulators in some places to quote stricter regulations on these platforms. 44% of teens said not having their phones made them feel anxious. Again, this is interpreting what the word means. 40% said it made them feel upset. 40% said it made them feel low. What have we done to our children?
I found this article this morning, heard about it. It's on honestbroker.com. And it's a story about how entertainment is dead, about how our brain is all wired, our brains are all wired now to just pay attention to distractions. That is where we're in our dopamine distractions, and how entertainment is working to just bite-sized hits, and that is the future. And it's the train's moving to the tracks, and there's no way to stop it. But we can dig into it tomorrow because it's not just entertainment, it's and it's changing, and it's changing.
It's changing our life.
Yeah, it's
Well, and we're just technology for sure. Must be nice. Living the dream.
She saves her money.
Is $9 a problem? I think that Target does a really good job with that price point. Because then I buy like 6 of them.
Whoa. You don't need to go showing off, okay? Or you'll get judged too.
I like my peanuts.
But not the crop top. Regularly.
I'm way too old for that. I don't want to do the work and the maintenance required for my midriff.
Next. Charles writes for the Miami Herald. What's going on in that's next. He became live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
A Coast Guard spokesman says oil in Huntington Beach appears to be natural seepage of crude bubbling up from the ocean floor. The Coast Guard has collected more than 1,000 pounds of oil waste and tar balls since the ship was spotted in the water on Thursday. Speaking of oil, analysts say prices at the pump will keep going up as we head towards spring break in the summer travel season. Prices dropped to around $3.07 in January. National average now up to $3.39 AAA. County gas a lot more than that, averaging $4.93 a gallon. It's $4.88. Doesn't anybody use spell check? The Lakers say spelling errors on a new Kobe Bryant statue website, Crypto.com arena, are going to be fixed. Several players' names are misspelled, among other things. The statue was unveiled last month. The Lakers organization says it's known about the errors for a few weeks now. Clouds this morning, mostly sunny this afternoon. The high is in the low 60s. Just mid to upper 60s. Inland 50s to low 60s. Antelope Valley. This report brought to you by Lowe's. We've got a crash in Marietta on the
20th. Southbound right now was almost right. A couple lanes going to be a slow. We'll keep heading south on 50. Checking it on the westbound side of the 91 now overall, really almost as far back here. Really, for an passing 15 from Maine, over the delays further westbound the 91 if you make with you at 55. 57 minutes. Leaving Temple, we're going through Dr. Park passing the 60. We go passing Bridge Candy Road, which is ahead into the area itself. Finding the Skyhawks just there faster. I'm in Polyoke as the #1 audio. iHeartMedia gives you access to all every audience, conversations, trusted influence, and the insights you need to grow. iHeartMedia is your access company.
The Consumer Price Index was released this morning and showed headline inflation posted the biggest monthly increase in February since last fall. February's Consumer Price Index was up 3.2% from a year earlier. Core prices gained 3.8%. The main factors for prices, the cost of housing, car insurance, and gasoline. The data could dictate the Federal Reserve and interest rates, but traders believe the Fed won't start cutting rates until at least June. The FAA's audit of Boeing's 737 MAX production reportedly found dozens of issues. Silvana and Apple reports.
The review follows the door panel blowout on the Alaska Airlines in January. The New York Times reports the investigation shows Boeing failed at check to remove the door plug. The audit also raised concerns about the technicians who did the work. It says continues changes developed plan to strengthen quality and safety.
Today is Equal Pay Day, symbolizing how far into the year women must work to earn what men earned last year. Recruiter Julie Camp says women will catch up to men on the pay scale, but it'll take some time.
It's a tough law, and we're just not getting there at the pace that I think we should be.
She says it's hard to narrow the gap because many women cannot pick up and move just for a better paying job.
Like they have expectations in states because of the salary band laws, there's still such an incredible job hard for them to make it up.
COVID also set women back since many had to stay home with their kids when schools were closed. Pew Research numbers show that women in the U.S. are not expected to achieve equal pay until 2059. Bitcoin is hitting a record high. The cryptocurrency hit over $72,000 on Monday, just after passing the previous high of $69,000 in 2021. The record continues a steady climb back up for Bitcoin, which has gone up over 50% in the past 2 months. Consumer Business News, Aaron Rydell, NBC News Radio.
Singer song. Man has got his wife and he breaking the news on the Lakers website. The way it has slipped over the weekend. I'm in all the way. Successful solo career, including singing All by Myself, Hungry Eyes, and Make Me Roll. Jimmy Kimmel says he was asked not to read former President Trump's post criticizing him during Sunday's Academy Awards ceremony. In an interview with Kelly Clark following the show, he said he was given a little bit of time and that he's going to read the Trump tweet. So, no, I won't read them. Trump he planned his performance of those calling Oscars disjointed, boring, and unfair. After reading the post to the audience, he will address Trump by saying, "Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still. Isn't it past your jail time?"
Jolene.
Cover one of her most famous songs could be on Beyonce's country album. Telling that new she already recorded a version of Jolene. It's very exciting. Beyonce, and she's always been tied to Beyonce and her mother are fans of her. Beyonce has not yet revealed the track list for her album, which is set to drop March 29th. That's entertainment. Steve Greenfield, ABC News Radio.
All the good stuff. Yeah. And top of culture. Daily coastal day theory flooded the weekend for my man said. Originally based on the 2018, the same thing. Slovenia's next year in 2020, ranking up the then best year on the East for the Super two dropped in 2022. The accident of a flight attendant is part of a string of recent cancellations of sections shows by Max, which includes the Jupiter Child comic Riley Julia, the pirate action comic Flag of the Set, and the comedy rap stuff, all of which were covered in January. So part of the novel cartoons and the animated close enough. Max originally scripted shows the last those third seasons of the Live Technology World, the city sequel, and just like that. And the Golden winning hacks are set to drop later this year. On. And that's what's poppin'. I'm Gas, and iHeartRadio.
We've gotten to the point we had almost because we didn't like that person. One, they're not necessarily around anything substantive in politics. We think that call issues. Gavin Newsom, locally, understanding the larger picture. Live 7 to 10 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime via iHeartRadio.
Jerry and Shannon, KFI and 40 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Gloria Allred going back to the Roman Landscape press conference today about the change that was apparently Roman Landscape. Kobe Bryant statue outside Crypto.com arena apparently has spelling errors, several errors on the marble base of the statue. We'll talk about it coming up in the next hour.
Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced last night that he's going to resign once the transition presidential council is created in Haiti. This is because of mounting international pressure to make way for a new leadership. It's been over years of violent beginnings. I reached out to Jacqueline Charles, who writes specifically about Haiti and other Caribbean countries for the Miami Herald. And Jacqueline was nice enough to join us today for an update on what's going on. First of all, Jacqueline, thanks for taking time for us today.
Thanks for being interested in the story.
Well, I've been there a couple of times. My wife had been a couple of dozen times, so I know at least some of what's going on there. Give us an update with the Prime Minister announcing that he's going to step down once this transitional presidential council is put in place. Where do we stand? How much does that change the tenor of what's going on there?
So I'm not sure your listeners have been following what's been happening. The Prime Minister went to Kenya with finalizing a security agreement with the Kenyan government and have about 1,000 police officers deployed to Haiti international police. And these warring gangs, people say, armed groups. And so when that news was announced, we was a crescendo in violence. There were these coordinated attacks where they overtook stations, at least a dozen police stations, and they started shooting around the uniforms to the international flight. The work resulted in hundreds of containers being able to move. Then they kept threatening that they were going to go after the palace. Two